I gotta say something real quick. I just realized we're only recording one channel of audio, so that sucks.
Oh, no.
But we'll make it work.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
That's all right.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll,
so-
we'll see if Holden can work his magic.
We keeping it real today.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It happens, bro. That's what this podcasting game's all about, bro.
Yeah.
I get it
I
100%.
was thinking,
That's it. Let's get right into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Creative Point Me Podcast. My name's Ethan.
Noah Johnson.
Marquis. And we got the man, Miss
Neek Robinson, ladies and gentlemen.
and welcome to the show. Hey.
We got it out of music bed, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I told Marky at the show.
I'll pull up with the Sunny's on, but I was like, I think I lied. Be real, I think, with it today.
Thanks for being on the show, man.
I appreciate you guys having me, man.
Yeah.
And we'll be here.
Yeah, the space. Love the space. I told you guys before. It's beautiful. I appreciate that, man. We just been grinding it out, man. Before podcast, you used to feedback. We really appreciate that feedback. Recently been trying to work hard to put this concept out. So yeah, dude. Yeah, we're just glad that like time being overseas, how we open it has been. You know, like get some good feedback from yourself and other creatives. It's just what we can do better, and also how we can like better ourselves, but also like serve, like we're kind of serving everyone in the community by doing this, you know, like we've talked about where we're doing this to tell other people's stories, and that's what I mean, you know, having you on. So tell us about yourself, man. Let's hear it.
Dude, I feel like I struggled with this question a lot. No, that's like an artist thing. You guys kind of have that too. But, well, my name is Neek Robinson. Given name, I guess, is Nico Robinson. That's what like my friends that I went to school with know me as. So Neek Robinson is my art name, I guess, or creative name. I do a lot of photography, do a lot of videography. Used to be into this space of podcasting for a while. I'm currently really focused on writing. So yeah, different, lots of different avenues that I like to touch in. I guess I'm just a creative all the way around.
Talk to us about what avenue of writing that you do.
I focus mainly in poetry. So I've been in the poetry space ever since my junior year of high school, really heavily. I worked with a organization called the Whip 515, which is no longer an organization. There's a lot of scandal kind of behind that. You guys can kind of do your research on that if you ever so wish to. But that's kind of like what gave me my start. And after that, I did a lot of like open mics with them, learned, I ended up actually teaching kids how to do like slam poetry, things of that nature. Worked with kids over at King Elementary School, I believe. And also got to go to Juilliard out in New York 10 days after high school for submitting a poem that I wrote. And there was only like 50 artists that were selected for this art fellowship program that I did. Yeah, that was definitely a big highlight of my poetry career. So yeah, now I'm really focused on writing books. So I'm getting ready to release my second book here within the next like 2 months. So
Congrats, man. Appreciate it. Let's start by your first book then. Give people a little taste about what your, your tone of writing is, if you will.
yeah, so my first book was called and titled the Almost College Dropout. It's kind of a nod to Kanye, but also I think I was listening to your guys' podcast with Parker as well, and you guys both didn't graduate college, correct? And that, so like I kind of like went through this moment during school where I just felt like I was like kind of wasting my time in a sense, and I didn't really want to be there. And inadvertently, I started writing this book that I'm working on now. But when I released my book, the Almost College Dropout book, I released it on the day that I graduated from college. Yeah,
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so it's basically just like a whole like compilation of different like trials and tribulations of just like, you know, going through school, which I'm sure you guys had those moments of like reflection. And it's basically just to like show the kids that are in college or like that are graduated from college or whoever, that you don't have to go into the path if you don't want to, but it's cool if you do too, either way. So,
So college, tell us a little bit about that, what you studied and where.
So I graduated in 2017, went to Kirkwood Community College to start out in the fall of 2017. And then I transferred to Iowa State University in the fall of 2019. And then graduated in the fall of 2020. So I did the college 4 years within 3.5 years. So
Right on.
yeah, so kind of got it done a little bit quicker. But I think that COVID kind of had something to do with that too, because I got to do everything kind of online, which I think was in a way like kind of a saving grace for me too.
Sure.
Which is really nice to kind of got that done.
Yeah, what did you study?
So I studied English, so that like the writing emphasis for me, that's
For sure.
really got steps from. So
That's cool. Before we get into more of your writing, tell us a little bit about your photography and videography, more of your digital creativity side.
Photography is probably what most people, I guess, would know me by, in a sense. Like, I like to pride myself on like a lot of my friends that are in like the creative space all use like my photos for like their profile pictures.
Yeah.
They also use
Which is a big compliment.
Yeah,
Like, it's not always like, they're not tagging me, but dude, people who do that, that's a big compliment.
Yeah,
I feel that.
And I think like when I notice it the most is like, when you're like scrolling through like who watched your Instagram story and stuff. And I don't like to like pay attention to that stuff all the time, but like seeing everybody that's like one of my close friends have something that I've taken of them is just like super duper cool to me.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, that's kind of what I do. They also like use my photos as their Tinder pictures. So that's something that I really got to pride myself on too, is kind of being like a matchmaker in the sense too. So,
absolutely.
It's kind of cool. So art is bringing people together 1,000% in different ways. 1,000%. So, but I just like capturing moments. So I kind of model my photos after film, very heavy, like grain film aesthetic is kind of the setup that I go for. It's just something that I've always been really heavy into.
When did you discover that passion for both?
Man, I got really heavy into photography probably after my senior year going into college. I remember when I got to college at Kirkwood, I ended up shooting some stuff for the baseball team there. I had a couple of buddies that played baseball there. Ever since then, I kind of got into I got into concert photography after that. And then after that, it was mainly like sports stuff, and that's kind of like what led me into meeting Parker, into that nature too. So then videos kind of like came alongside of that too. So like, it was just like a whole whirlwind of just everything. Kind of came together, and that's what I'm kind of doing to this day. So
What are some like big inspirations for you? Like you mentioned film as an inspiration, but what are some like people or like artists in particular that you cite and they inspire?
yeah, I think like the top 5, I guess, that I would have. Tom Sachs is one that's very, very heavy. Where he shoots currently, as we've kind of discussed. The others would be Frank Ocean, is one of my absolute favorite artists.
You got a tattoo?
Yeah, I got a tattoo of Frank Ocean's car in Nostalgia Ultra. That's on my arm. And Mac Miller is also another heavy inspiration of mine. Especially like those two, like Frank Ocean and Mac Miller, and then also Tyler the Creator for the writing aspect of things. That's where I kind of get that from. But then Tyler the Creator also is kind of like, he's very just like artistic all the way around. So I love like the things that he's done over the past couple of years, especially after like I saw like a big switch from his album, from basically Flower Boy on. It was kind of like just a total switch up, and that's like
evolution.
Yeah, so that's like one of my heavy inspirations. And then, I think also there's a guy that's based out of Toronto, I believe. His name is Sean Brown. Same Sean Brown. He made like the CD rugs. Do you guys see those ever like on Instagram during COVID and stuff? You guys have to check him out. Like he's super, super dope. He just like is really like kind of dives into heavy, like into the like whole digital aesthetic, and also like, you know, pays a lot of homage to like the whole media, like CDs, records, things of that nature. So he has a brand called Curves by Sean Brown. So definitely check him out too. He's some of my very like closest like work comes from inspiration from him.
Yeah, they feel dope too. That's awesome, man. So, all right, let's get back into the writing aspect of it, since that's, I guess, what you do. What got you into like, man, like I'm gonna go to college for this? You know, like that's a big investment, you know, in any aspect.
Yeah. So I grew up. I guess it kind of started for me like junior year of high school. I was always a sports kid growing up. Played football. I was always like a big dude, so I really kind of focused on football, kind of wanting me to go into the college world. I thought like maybe I could play like at like some low level college somewhere. Never anything like super crazy, but so my junior year, I like trained all summer long or whatever to like earn my varsity spot, things of that nature. And then first game of the season, big guy sat on my ankle, broke my ankle. So I kind of had this like kind of moment of reflection that was like, wow, like this was my entire identity just like stripped away from me in one single play. So after that season ended, I kind of like had this like come to Jesus moment, I guess, in a sense of just telling myself, you know, I would rather be able to walk for the rest of my life rather than, you know, not be able to. So I kind of had this moment of revelation to just get up and really focus on this art stuff. So I found writing really heavily after my football season ended, and I haven't looked back since.
So that's cool, man. What would you say your style, whether it comes like, whether it's film, photo, design, writing, what does it reflect? You know, like it's a part of it. So how does that reflect to you?
I would say I like just capturing the raw and real things. I love just documenting things. Like I really like just the docu style of things, you know, like there's no jocks like anybody that like, you know, loves like the lighting and this full setup of everything, but that's just not who I am, and that's not what I want to be as a creator. So I feel like when I see my works out on like people's Instagrams or like as their profile pictures and things of that nature, it's like a photo that like I just like, I'll literally just take out my camera, boom, put it away, and that'll be like, what just happened? Like, but then later on that becomes a profile picture, and like they wouldn't even thought that would have been a good picture of them, but it was like just this one moment captured in time that sticks with me.
Yeah, authenticity.
Yeah. So, and I think that that's what a lot of my friends like tell me is like that they love about my work so much, is just like I'm just capturing them like in their real lives, like rather than like, you know, giving them a chance to like be like, you know, they'll peace sign, like, you know, do something stupid in front of the camera, you know, like kind of in a sense like faking it, but like in this way it's their most authentic self.
I love how like just like sneaky you are with it, bro. Like, because every time I see you it's funny, like I take pictures, but then when it comes to me being on the other side of the camera, it's such a different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I mean, you recently took my engagement photos. And normally I'm a really like camera shy type of person when I'm in front of the camera, but I didn't even know you were there. That's how stellar you were, and like you crushed it, bro. Like you absolutely killed it, man. I look at those photos, I'm just like, it takes me back to that moment. And then like, I think it's cool how like you can take a photo of somebody in their authentic self, because we live in a day where, an age with social media and all the things where it's like, you want to try and look perfect, or like you're afraid of looking bad or whatever, but like you just do a really good job of just bringing out like the real side in people.
And I really appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like that's just something that I feel like comes with like getting to know people before I actually work with them. Like, you know, when Noah decided that he wanted me to come along and take pictures of his engagement, we had like a talk in a coffee shop for like 2 or 3 hours. Like, and before that, like we didn't really we knew each other and like knew of each other's like work and things of that nature, but like never have gotten to like sit down and really like talk to one another. And that's when we did that. So that's what I really kind of like pride myself on, is like really actually getting to know people before I shoot them, before I work with them, because then it just like, it brings out that most authentic version of themselves. And, you know, I just try to really just get down to who this person is before I actually like make them the subject.
We had a conversation on Friday about the feeling of shooting on film. Like, you should elaborate on like the reason why you love shooting on film, because it kind of goes into the whole the reason why you shoot.
Yeah. So I guess like if you've seen me like in action, I guess in the field, like taking different pictures of people, what I pride myself on is like I will pull out my camera, like I said, take a little quick picture of somebody, but then I won't show it to them. You know, like a lot of people are like, they'll ask me like, "Ooh, what's that picture look like?" But I'm like, nah, bro, like you're gonna see it tomorrow. Like I treat it like it's film, even though I shoot it on digital, because it's like I would want to just preserve the moment. And I think that that's what's so beautiful about film as well, is that you don't get like caught up in like making sure that it looks absolutely perfect, and you just let it be what it is. You know, like I love being able to look back at my film photos, at my digital photos, and then being like, wow, that was like a really cool moment to just like look back on, and like really, it just captures it so well. And I don't know if it's because it looks like film or what, but there's just, I was just looking at like my catalog and stuff, like at my website I think on Friday, like before the event and stuff. And it was just like, wow, like I've really got like a lot of stuff that I've been doing for a long time. So it's really cool to kind of see it all kind of on this one little like space, like just having it all encapsulated to one place is just really cool to see. That's really cool, man.
In a practical sense, what is being creative day to day look like for you, the player?
Ooh, man. I feel like over the past couple of years, it's changed a lot for me. I remember when, you're like 22, you're 19, 22. When I was 22, I basically was kind of like in this space where like I was like feeling like the need to like post every single day, things of that nature. It's probably like more like along the lines of like my early 20s, so like 20 to like 21, 22. I kind of felt that like I need to like get out there and like share my stuff all the time, but I felt like my work just wasn't top tier stuff, versus now I really like to like take my time with things. So when I was 22, getting ready to turn 23, I decided to quit my day job. I used to work at American Airlines over in Des Moines, and I just kind of hated my job. And I was just like, you know what, I think I'm going to take this time and like really just find who I am as a human being. So basically just like loaded on my car and drove out to California and just didn't look back. Spent 9 months out in the Bay Area, and I had the most beautiful time of my life. And I got to really like just sit writing every single day. And I didn't have to worry about like, you know, I don't know if you guys like have this too, but like I feel like whenever I'm back here, like in my hometown, it's like there's always like somebody hitting you up for something. Mm-hmm. And it like, in a way, I feel like I'm always like having to please everybody else versus like protecting my own peace. And that's like something that I really wanted to do for that moment of my life. So it was a different switch up for me, but I needed this last like year and a half, almost 2 years now, to just like separate myself from my work and just focus on this next project of putting out my book. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all I'm for it.
So is Cali where you wrote the book?
Yep. So it's been like basically I've been kind of in a way working on it since I've left college, just because the book is titled Lost on Earth. It's just like this story of like, you know, trying to find who you are as a human being, and, you know, just in a way like how it's this beautiful moment of just going out into the unknown and just like trying to figure it out, you know. And like I feel like I've tried to take this like unorthodox path that's just not anybody that like I really know personally has done, and I kind of pride myself on just like trying absolutely everything. So that's what I kind of did when I decided. I left in September of 2021. And yeah, I just haven't really looked back since. So,
Did you have family California, or did you just leave?
no, we just left those bad. But yeah,
So what was that feeling like?
it was like, I feel like it was scary to a certain extent, but at the same time, like, I don't know if you guys obviously have been on like vacations and things of that nature, but like, you know, like when you're out like by yourself on a vacation with like your girl or like your wife or whatever, you're just like, oh man, like anything just feels possible. Like you guys like don't know what exactly is gonna come within that day that you guys have ahead, but like you're just gonna go balls to the wall, just like go and just have fun, experiencing things. That's what that was for me. Every single day for 9 months straight. I didn't even know anybody. And I think that like there was this moment where like I was probably about like 4 or 5 months into living in California, and I was like, man, like I oddly feel like I'm at home, but like I can't like drive across town and just like go and see my mom. So that was like something that was kind of tough for me, because it was like I was following my dreams and I was like trying to figure things out, but at the same time, like I wasn't around everybody that like loved me for who I was. But like I also kind of felt like I needed that to just kind of like separate myself from it, and to just like be able to like walk into a place or like walk into like Target or Walmart and like not know anybody that's there, you know? And I think that like that's a beautiful thing about Des Moines, that like, you know, every time that I feel like I go out into the world, I feel like I'm gonna see somebody that I know. But when I was out there, I was just able to just be my most authentic self and just go out and be myself at all times. So and I've taken a lot of lessons from that and coming back here too. So
It's awesome.
That's huge.
I gotta say something real quick. I just realized we're only recording one channel of audio, so that sucks.
Oh, no.
See, but we'll make it work.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
figure it
all
out.
right. That's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see if Holden can work his magic.
We keeping it real today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
It happens, bro. That's what this podcasting game's all about, bro.
Yeah.
I get it 100%.
Ups and downs. I mean, I listen to a podcast, Secret to Success, ET, and they have.
I feel like I've heard that too.
Yeah,
low-key.
they're a pretty big podcast. And I was listening to their podcast this past weekend, and their audio sounded like complete trash. And these are big time, like they're multi-million-dollar. They have a whole crew and everything, and their audio it was a bad buzz the whole time.
Time to make a hire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
All right.
tell us about your podcast then.
Yeah.
Man, dude.
What a segue.
Yeah, that was fire. So yeah, I think that. Oh, geez, I made my podcast back in October of 2018. So it's almost been like 4 or 5 years ago now. That's really kind of. I'm getting up there. I'm growing up, and it's weird. But yeah, so my podcast was titled The Truth Podcast, with myself as the host, Neek Robinson. And basically what I would do is I would have every other week I would have like a solo podcast. So it would just be like myself sitting down in front of the microphone and just talking about a topic. It could be something like along the lines of like politics, or it could be like something like LeBron just like hit a game winner the night before or something like that, something goofy. But on the other weeks, what I would do is I would do basically the same thing that you guys are kind of doing. I would invite somebody on. I would meet them at like a coffee shop, things of that nature. and we would just sit and talk, and I would ask them a bunch of questions. They would like, in a way, they got like, everybody that I basically had on my podcast is like a super close friend of mine now, which is like really, really cool to look back on. So like I had, is that me? Jeez. That is me. That was a podcast too. Okay, Andrew Schultz, let's be quiet now. Let's be quiet. Shout out to the Flagrant 2 podcast as well.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I would have podcast guests on, and they would just like become the most authentic versions of themselves just by me like inadvertently like opening up about myself, and then like basically like creating a safe space for them to kind of just open up about who they are as a person. And a lot of times it would be like artists, it'd be people that like I went to school with that played sports in college, things of that nature. I met Parker on my podcast. I literally like did not know Parker before I had him on, like, and to this day he's like one of my best friends that I have in this whole world. So like to me, like that is like one of the greatest projects that I've ever had and done in my entire life, and I will literally take that with me to my grave. Wow. So I'm definitely thankful that that's what kind of got me, I guess, a start into this like creative realm in a sense. So yeah, it was really cool.
What made you stop?
I don't know. I think that I like having, like, I was reading like Noah's questions and stuff today, and he was talking about like the seasons of like why did like I make this podcast and like what was it for in that season. And I think that that's kind of like the way that I structure my art is kind of like this season I really want to focus on this. I want to focus on writing. I want to focus on photography. I want to focus on videography. That season it was all about podcasting, and I think that in a way I needed to kind of figure myself out versus like always telling the stories of other people, which is a beautiful thing too, because like I loved how authentic and real everybody got, but I wanted to figure out who I was as a human before I would, because like I don't do this anymore. Like I haven't really spoke in a long form on the internet in a good like 2 or 3 years. Like it's been a long time. So it's just like something that like I value every single word that I say now versus, you know, just like speaking it out into the void, you know? So I like to stand 10 toes behind everything that I say. So
is the podcast still out there for people to go listen to?
1,000%. It is available on, I'm pretty sure, like all streaming platforms.
Okay.
Just search The Truth Podcast, Neek Robinson, and you'll probably find it. So yeah, it's
Cool, man.
It's a good spot.
What were some of the takeaways that from that season that you just?
Yeah, I think the networking and the relationship building was the greatest thing that I took away from that. Just because I literally talked to, like, I have like a group chat full of like some of my best like photographer homies that I've had all of them on my podcast, and we just all became like super duper tight, and we all
awesome, man.
get together like every single month and just like hang out together and just like we don't even like talk about photos. Like we will kind of like to start off being like, hey bro, like what you into right now? Like what you working on right now? But it's also like we just get out there and we just talk mess to each other. Like that to me is just, you can't put a price on that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and that's really cool to have.
That's awesome, man.
What are some other names, like you said, Parker? Like, who are some other guys that are local that you've had on there?
Yeah, so I had, I had Julio. He just left the building here. Sorry, I'm gonna blow your guys up. But yeah, Julio Delgadillo, owner and founder of Bowie Club. I had him on before he was who he is now, like, which is really, really cool to see. I had my buddy Borg, Tobias, Mike Pham. I had, I've had like so many different people on that it's like hard to even like think about, because it's just like I did it so long ago too, and I had to like actually look up like when I actually started the project too, because I was like, wow, like I actually have like so much of a catalog, but it's really cool that I've had like all these people on, and it still lives in this internet like metaphysical space to me, and that's really cool that their stories are still out there and they're always available for people to listen to.
I was talking to Dylan like earlier today, and it was crazy. He brought up to me how like basically that same concept, how like this podcast will live on the internet forever, you know, as long as there's the internet, unless somehow it gets taken down.
Yeah, exactly.
But that ain't, I don't think that's happening, but it's crazy because like when he brought that up to me, it made me pause and think, if I live to be like, let's say 80, I can go back and watch myself as a 22-year-old. Like, I will forget what I sounded like at that age. I might even like hardly remember like what we all looked like or whatever, but I can literally go back and relive that. And that's the power of technology and video, and just, it's cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be doing this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel like in that token too, it's like it's really cool that it's able to do that, but in the same vein, it's like so scary to do that too. Like, because it's like I was like this 20-year-old, 21-year-old bright-eyed kid that just like hadn't found his way yet, and like just wanted to create absolutely everything that like I could get my hands on. And you know, there was just so many different ideas that were bouncing off of my brain, and now I feel like I'm kind of landing on like some sort of a path. So it's like cool to see how I've grown, but at the same time, it's like, whoa, I may have said some really crazy stuff back then, and I can't really take it back. So
Well, yeah, we all grow and change over time.
Yeah.
You know?
So I got a question off the topic of you just expanded on like all the artist friends that you had on your podcast. Who are some artists in the Des Moines area that you want to see yourself work with in the future? But also, who are some artists nationally or outside Des Moines that you want to see yourself work with?
Geez,
That can be from a photo or
Yeah.
even book writing aspect.
I think a lot of the people that like I'm really like wanted to work with, I've in a sense like had them on my podcast, and that's like what I really loved about that project too, is like in a way like I was working with them, just sitting down and like interviewing them.
Right.
Like some of my favorite interviews was actually like the UVT boys that are like obviously like making music and stuff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with their
They
work,
just
but
dropped
Shout out Uno.
yeah, Fly Space just dropped.
Fly
Fly Space 3, I believe, just dropped. So yeah, those dudes, super duper authentic boys that all of them I think almost all of them come from like the east side of Des Moines, and they're all a little bit older than me, but like it's just having that energy in the room, and like it led to me also like taking their videos and like photos at like their concerts, and you know, so like in a way that was like the bridge point for me. So I don't feel the need to like work with like certain people anymore, because it's like if I see somebody that like I'm really interested in, like Noah was a prime example for me.
Right.
I like stumbled upon his work. I think when you shot for Bowie Club's like first or second collection, maybe.
Yeah.
And that I was like, ooh, I really like this kid's aesthetic. I really like what he's doing. I like his creative direction and everything. So we just like ended up linking up organically, because I'm like a firm believer in like everything happens for a reason. So like
Absolutely.
if I really value somebody's work, I know that over some time frame, they're gonna stumble. Our paths are gonna meet, because Des Moines is super small. So you know, it's gonna happen. So
For sure.
yeah. So not ever like against not working with anybody, but it's like I know time will come.
I feel like
gonna
it's a gift that you have. Like, from a faith standpoint, like I believe that certain people can like prophetically like see the future, or like see into people like gifts and stuff, and really bring that out in them. And I think that you have that gift.
I appreciate that.
Because like I feel like a lot of these people that you connect with and that you really see potential in, you're not using them either. You are investing in them and you're encouraging them to keep going and you're building them up. Yeah. And a lot of these people are doing really, really dope things. So.
Yeah, and I think like that's like something that I try to like keep like my head, like a good head on my shoulders with, is like we live in this like generation where we're all like focused on like, you know, getting our art out to the masses, you know, but like I've never been like about the numbers. I've never been about like, you know, I value the connection to it and I value the longevity of my work versus like doing what's on trend now and that kind of keeling over after like 6 months. I don't care for that. I want to be able to like look back at like my photo album or look back at my website or like my catalog and just being like, wow, I'm really proud of like what I was doing like 4 years ago still. Like that to me is like really, really cool because like if I look back at my old work when I first started working out, it's hot garbage. But when I found my look, when I found my aesthetic, when I found what I'm into now,
when did that come? Like, when did you figure that out?
I think it was probably somewhere in like 2019, give or take. I've always been into like black and white photography. That's been kind of my aesthetic. So if you look at like my Instagram page and things of that nature, a lot of my work is very black and white aesthetic. And I like to romanticize the idea of just like, you know, what a black and white photo is, you know, it's just like, you kind of almost have to like envision what it is that you're looking at. So it's, in a way, it's poetic for me. So, and I'm a poet. So like, it's like, it kind of just runs like through my veins, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, it's something that I love that my work has just kind of grown into this one like timeless and nostalgic look. And I think that it kind of just happened naturally. Like it just kind of ever so slightly just kind of changed and morphed into what it is today. I don't know if there was like a specific time frame that it happened.
Have you thought about making like a photo book with all your portfolio of photos?
I've definitely kind of like tossed around the idea. I did make like that's what I kind of like to do on like my free time is like just making like one of one like art pieces for like myself. Like I'll look around like my apartment and I'm just like, wow, like I made this like 3 years ago. And it was just like something that I had like on a whim. Like I made like an incense chamber like a couple of years ago that I still use to this day where I just like light an incense and I stick it into this like vase that I made and it's got like some rocks in it and it just like holds my incense into it. But it's like an art piece that like I made just on a whim. Same thing with like, there's like a bunch of different like magazines and like things of that nature that I just kind of threw together. And I don't know, there's something about like the tangible objects and like the home objects that I'm like really intrigued by because it's like we live in this very digital world that like, you know, you see that all of our friends, they just post stuff on social media and then it just kind of like goes off into the distance. Like it just kind of creeps behind our brains and stuff. We just like kind of forget about it in a sense. But like my love for like these tangible objects too is like, it's so cool to being able to see it sitting in like my home. It's just something
it's
that
cool
like
to see something like, sorry to cut you
No,
off,
you're
but
good.
like it's cool to see something like serve a purpose in real world, like physical, you know.
And I feel like that's like what art is too. Like it has to like be able to live on for generations because like that's what I've always wanted my art to do. Like I've never wanted it to just be like this one-off thing and just having it be like, oh yeah, that was cool for like a couple months and then now it's just no longer in my thought process.
Think about art before digital cameras or cameras at all. Think about sculptures and all that stuff. So
and that's why I feel like my like inspirations they're so broad. Like Tom Sachs is a sculptor and like he does like photos and videos and like creates like clothing and shoes and things of that nature and like but like he just makes cool stuff, you know? Like that to me is like I never want to steer away from that. So like I love just making like different objects, even if it's like something that's outside of my comfort zone or my wheelhouse. What's the worst that's gonna happen? If I don't like it, I can just throw it away.
And art is subjective too.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you, at the end of the day, as an artist, I feel like as long as you love what you put out and you love what you do, there's no right or wrong.
1000%.
Something that I see in your photos is like, you know, you take pictures of like your homies a lot. I think of like Gunnar Stalls. Do you know that guy?
Yep. It's one of my big inspirations too. Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that, but I see it because he's known for his like iconic, just like candid, you know, portraits of like celebrities, like music artists and all that stuff.
Yep.
And you are like the Gunnar Stalls of Des Moines, bro.
Yep. I'm trying to just make a name for myself, you know?
Like one day I want to see a gallery where you blow up huge, just like similar to what he did, where you just blow up pictures of all these people and you can walk through it, man.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah. I love like the idea of like, I had like this idea that I wanted to like create like a photo book of just all my friends and just gift it to my friends too. Obviously, like making a photo book kind of takes a little bit of money, and I have like so many photos of like so many different people. So I'm like, yeah, that would probably be like good, like $100 that I'd have to make. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if that's in the cards per se, but it's really cool to like see how many connections I've made just with photos. You know? It's crazy. It's crazy to see.
Yeah, it's really cool though that like that is kind of the driving force, and also just like the heartbeat behind making art, because so oftentimes, you know, social media clouds people's like not true colors, but like why they're in it, you know. And so that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have like a huge social media following. And last I checked, you had what, like 11 posts up, like not even like a ton
I think I have
of
like
posts.
6. I think I have like 6.
Yeah,
because
so,
I
like,
archived them all.
But I remember whenever I followed you on Instagram and like checked it out, is like it's very intentional pieces that's up, you know, with your poetry, you know, like very descriptive stuff about like who you are and like the photos, and it's cool, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm just trying to like, you know, create this. I take a lot of the inspiration from like what Tyler the Creator has kind of done over his last couple of albums. Like you've seen him go from like Flower Boy, which was like kind of this tail end of like, he had this interview where I think he was on Ebro's interview, and he was talking about when he was like 23 to 24, that he felt like he, in a sense, kind of went through puberty. And it wasn't in the sense of like getting a little bit of hair on your chest and like your voice dropping and things of that nature. But he was talking about how, oh, this is why I'm thinking this way. Like there's something in my brain that just kind of clicked. And when I left here in September of 2021, I was 22, getting ready to turn 23. And that was like everything that he said in that interview and that portion, I needed that to be articulated because that is exactly how I felt. And I felt like when I turned 23 and now into 24, it's like, I don't even recognize who I was like 2 years ago. Like it's night and day different. And I just like, I don't feel the need to like post my stuff online because like I love the way that my work sits. I love the way that like, you know, it's every one of my friends is like profile pictures. Like I've been stating, like that speaks volumes. Like art speaks volumes to me. And that's like the greatest compliment. Like you said, it's just, nothing gets better than that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Going back to your trip to California and staying there for 9 months, how important is it for you creatively and for other creatives to rest?
I think rest is like, it's a really interesting thing. And I have like these moments where I need to disconnect from things because I'm so like critical on the things that I make. And I think that that's why I like do the things that I do with my photos. Like I try to just separate myself from my art rather than like, I feel like a lot of my friends, they're like I'll see it with like a bunch of photographers specifically. Like if I'm like following them around, they'll like take a picture and they'll be like out on a shoot and they're like, oh, I have to get this lighting right. I have to get this right. I have to get this right. And you're just so engulfed in this like commercial idea of what perfect is supposed to be. And to me, like, I need to separate myself from my work because otherwise it would make me literally go insane. So I think that like having a break and having like this moment to just go and be who you are and not have to answer to anybody, not have to worry about anything other than just surviving, man, and like not taking life so seriously, because it's like at the end of the day, man, we are all going to leave this earth. Just point blank, period. Like, I don't care what or who you believe in. We're all here on this earth for a limited amount of time. And this is all we got, is all this in between from when we're born to when we die. What you do in between that, do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
I heard a message at church lately. It was Ash Wednesday, this past Wednesday, and I work in a Lutheran church, so it's like a big deal. And like there's a verse, I think it's Genesis 3:19 or 16. I think it's 3:19. Don't quote me though. It's like, from ash you were formed, into ash you will return. And the pastor at my church was given a message, and it was relating to, you know, that theme about how we're only here for a short amount of time. And he brought up how on a tombstone, there's the day you're born, the day you die, and then there's the dash. And it's like, what are you going to do with that dash?
Yep.
Yeah. How are you going to make the most of your life? Tomorrow's not promised.
Exactly.
So like, make the most of today.
Exactly.
And that's why I posted that, my latest post. It's like, life isn't measured in the amount of breaths we take, but in the moments that take our breath away. So that's where that came from, was that message. Shout out to church.
That's fire. That's fire.
Absolutely,
That's
man.
fire.
That's good. That's good. What's something that you would wish you had learned earlier, or like sitting with your 21, 22-year-old self, be like, man, this is something I need you to understand right now?
I think not being afraid to just take a different path. Like, I've inadvertently kind of done that ever since I've left high school. Like, I remember I was like making like YouTube videos and stuff when I was like a senior in high school, but like I was so afraid to like post them widely on my like social media, because I was like, in a way, like afraid of like what everybody thought, like, you know. And like I think that that's just like a natural thing that we like are afraid of, like, oh yeah, like what will my friends think about this? But like now I'm just like, I really don't care what anybody has to say about me anymore. I don't care if they're this close to me or 10,000 feet away from me. Like I don't care. Like, it's just like, I want to just create things that last forever. And like, I think I've always like kind of had this, like, I had it with my poetry when I was in high school, and like Julio was like, we did poetry and stuff together too. And I would see how he would basically like control a crowd when we would do slam poetry. Like, he would get them to like completely like raise the roof off of a like crowd full of like 500 people, to then like getting them to quiet down and you could hear a pen drop. Like, just the way that he controlled the crowd was insane to me. But then like when I would go up there, like it would just be silent, and like it would kind of just be like this serious undertone, because it's like what I was saying I meant with my whole heart. And that to me, like, even if I could like sit and just change one person's perspective, that's what art is supposed to be. It doesn't have to change a mass full of people. It just has to change one person's perspective, bro, or one person's life. Like, if I can save one person's life just on like relating to them on something, that was worth me doing. Like, to this day, I have people that like message me like, oh, I just like ran through like your whole podcast catalog, and like you said like this certain thing that really stuck with me, and like it's changed like who I am as a person. Like, and I'm like, what? Like, that to me is like,
But that's crazy because there's power in our words, you know, like power we speak to others and how we speak to ourselves. And like, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and that's like what I feel like I would tell myself is just like, don't take yourself so seriously. Like, just like create what you want to create and like everything else will come. So, you know, like, and I love just like not being like this like household name in the community. Like people know of me. Like if you see a photo that I've taken, like you probably know that it's me, or you're like, dang, why have I seen like this guy's photos like everywhere? I like the way that that sits. I like the way that that is. So, but other than that, I don't really care about like all the likes and the
For sure.
I'm relating
accolades
to
and
where
stuff.
you're coming from too, because I feel like I'm starting to really enter into that season myself, where I remember in high school really wanting to just be everybody's friend, really wanting to impress everybody, and just like I was just a nice guy, and like I still am a nice guy, you know, like I'm still, you know, I hate conflict, I love people, like that's who I am. But also, like, I'm not afraid of who I am anymore, and I'm not trying to hide it. I'm not trying to put on, like, a mask for this person and be like, you know, yo, what up, you know, act all, like, tough. But, no, I'm just, like, a really, you know, I'm just myself.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm also starting to find myself in just, like, the creative field, too. Because, like, we've had talks about, like, how do you use your gifts for work and for money? And, you know, because, like, that is a thing as a creative, like, making money. But also, like, why can't it, like, art, personal expression, you know, and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm starting to find that balance, too. And I'm starting to find who I am, not only as a person, but just, you know, as a creative, right? I'm starting to find my lane, so I'm really, like, resonating with what you're saying.
Yeah, and I feel like with me, like, kind of piggybacking on, like, why, like, you feel that way, I just feel like I, like, have never had this, like, moment where, like, I feel like I need to do art as my career. Like, it's just always been, like, a passion project of mine. And I've had, like, conversations about this, like, with you or with, like, Parker and stuff, too. Like, I don't want to, like, have that sense of burnout because, like, to me, this, like, moment where, like, I just get to, like, go out into the community, take a bunch of pictures of my friends, like, I look forward to that, and I don't want it to become work. I don't want it to like
keep
be
it
something
sacred.
exactly. Like, and it's like it's something that like I value so deeply, and like I never want to lose that. But like there are like certain jobs that like you know when me and Parker are like working with like these like super like down to earth like high school kids that are like you know these big household names, but like Omaha, for example, like he, like it's kind of in a sense like me, like he doesn't share like a bunch of his life on social media and stuff, but like this kid's like a #1 recruit in the nation, like, but like when me and Parker are around him, we bring out this most beautiful side of him that like nobody really gets to see until like we're in there with him and we get to just document it, like, and that to me is just like. You can't put a price on that, you know? And that's like, especially with like how everything is just changing in our world, man, like you gotta value like these experiences that you have with people because like we just went through a pandemic where like we lost like so many people just like that. Like went from one day going into Walmart and the whole like store being filled to the brim to then the next day there's no toilet paper. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like everything can switch just like that. Like, so I think that like in a way, like these past couple of years, man, it's been such a whirlwind and I've had my trials and tribulations. I've had my ups and downs. I've been like went from the bottom to the top and it's just like, I'm glad where I'm sitting at right now. I'm glad I'm sitting here just kind of talking about it and just like, you know, just talking to you guys, man. Like it's a beautiful ride that this whole journey of life has been, man. And just like, don't take yourself so seriously.
What's your dream? Like we've talked about it a little bit before. Where do you see yourself? What do you want to do? with what you're doing?
So I remember we had a conversation about like I'm currently working at Nike. So basically, like my dream job has always been to just be in some sort of creative, like director role at Nike. Don't know what that looks like because Nike is such a huge corporation. It's not even just like a brand anymore. It's like an entire entity of a business. Like being in there from the ground floor to like being able to like work your way up in that is just like it's so insane to me. But like that has always been my dream, and I know that one day I'm gonna be doing something for Nike on a creative scale, and that to me couldn't ask for anything better than that. Couldn't be asked for anything better than that. So
Yeah, what steps are you taking to get to that, to accomplish that?
So currently, I work at the store out in Altoona, the Nike store out in Altoona, and basically, like, I'm kind of like trying to get my hands just on everything. Like, I think that something that a lot of people like kind of frown upon, maybe in a sense, or like maybe people just like don't want to look stupid. They just don't ask questions. They just act like they know everything. And I never want to act like I know everything. Like I never want to be like, oh yeah, like I got this. If I have even the slightest like undertone of a question, I'm gonna be like, hey, this might sound dumb, or I'm just gonna ask it. Like, don't even care what anybody thinks. Like I said, it comes back from that. Like just like not caring what anybody thinks and just asking so I can get the clarification that I need. And even like I'm like a firm believer in like failure is your greatest teacher. Like if I fail at something one time, I will never do that again. Will never do it again. So I learned the hard way, but I will literally like never ever do that again. So with that, I'm trying to just get my hands on absolutely everything. So like my bosses will like ask me, hey, can you be like working in the apparel department today? Can you be working at the cash register? Can you be working in the footwear department? Can you like help process orders and stuff in the back? Like, I'm just like, whatever you guys need me to do, I got you. Like, no, I put my head down and just
That's a
work.
servant mindset.
Yeah.
And honestly, like everyone's trying to be the leader all the time, and they're trying to cut corners and not go through the process. But it's like the greatest thing you can be is a servant. So yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah.
And that's big because I feel like a lot of people, they want, like you want that creative role within Nike, and they want to jump to that role, but they don't want to sit at the retailer or stock the shelves or work in apparel. They just want to go instantly to that creative director role at Nike. So it's a big
I feel like
thing.
people are afraid of the grit, man. People are afraid of the in between, like we've been talking about. Like, and I think that I've learned this like through like I've been like getting really heavily into running and stuff. So like I trained for my first marathon when I moved to California. I trained from basically November, the day of my 23rd birthday. I started training for my marathon that I ran in October, and I completed that. But like, what I didn't know about like marathon training was like the day of the race, the marathon is already done. Like it's already completed. That day of the race is like your like Super Bowl Sunday. Like you just get to go out there and just execute and just have fun. Like that's what that's all about. But like that in between portion where I'm waking up every single day and going out for a run, even on the days where I didn't want to, that's what that's all about. So like in a way, that's what I try to treat like my work with too. Like I love getting up and going to work every day. Like I've been wearing this stuff since I was a kid. Like I remember like some of the film photos that I see of myself back in the day, like I was wearing like little baby Nike shoes that like my dad had me in and my mom had me in. Like it's just something that I've lived and breathed. So like for me to actually be working for them now is like, even if it's on this smaller scale, it's like a dream come true, man. Like, and just like, I remember reading like our founder's book, Phil Knight, like reading his book, man, and just like hearing he kind of in a way kind of did the same thing that I did. Like he moved from his hometown in Oregon and went backpacking in like Japan and ended up like basically finessing the system to basically create Blue Ribbon Sports, which is now Nike. So he basically acted like he had this successful brand back in the States and upsold, I believe it was, I want to say it's Asics, I think, that basically they ended up starting, like he started to work with, and he was basically just reselling their shoes at like different track meets and things back in the States and Oregon. And yeah, he just basically faked it until he made it.
Until he made
Like,
it.
so that to me is like, wow.
There's a movie coming out.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck directing it.
Yep. So Air is like the story about Michael Jordan. So like I'm hoping that like people either take the time to read the book Shoe Dog, like to really just hear this man's story, dude, because like it is insane. And it's like it really kind of like gives me like almost like this peace of mind of like understanding like I have to put in this groundwork. I have to do it. Like it doesn't just like happen overnight. Even
glad you
for
said that.
even for Phil Knight, like the owner and founder of Nike, it didn't happen overnight. Like and this brand's been here and is a powerhouse, has been a powerhouse for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
That's huge.
The fact that you like acknowledge that too, and like it's like you're like humbly being like, yeah, I know I got to start from the ground, you know? And also like anything worth pursuing is going to be hard.
1000%.
Like I just got engaged, right? You shot those photos.
Yep.
Marriage is going to be hard. Marriage is going to be really hard, but like, you know, that's something that I really want to pursue with this woman, Michaela. Love you. But yeah, like y'all can attest to your own situations, you know, like everything, honestly, life is hard, straight up. Life is really hard. Like I'm still living at home, trying to save money too. You know, like we all, like, you know, we all got our things that it's like, dang, I do not want to do this or whatever. But it's like, I feel like you figure it out and you'll buckle down. Like, and it's the tough things in life that will bring out the best in you. And then once you get through that, it's like, oh, God puts those seasons in your life to teach you lessons, right? And so you'll just learn and grow from that, you know? So, yeah.
100%.
It's good, man.
Yeah. It's a beautiful journey, man. Like that's just what it's all about. It's just falling in love with the process and falling in love with the journey, man. That's all it's about.
Yeah, 100%. Well, man, we appreciate you being on here. But
dude.
before you get off, we always ask one question. What inspired you this week or the last 2 weeks or even the last month? What has been a big inspiration to you? So
I think I've been kind of like thinking about this like all day, to be honest.
did you know this question was coming?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did. And something that's been sticking with me has been I usually like love to like re-listen to Frank Ocean's Project Blonde, and his last track, Future Free. He in the last paragraph in the last like stanza, he has this line that says, "I'll be quiet and let you run your phone bill up." Let you run your phone bill up. He says, like, I know you love to talk. And he said, I'm not on your schedule. I'm not on no schedule. And with that, he kind of like gives me this permission to just like what we've been talking about this whole podcast, like just like focus on just me, because like he came from dropping Blonde. Before that, he hadn't dropped a project or an album for 4 years, and everybody like would ask him like, where's the next project at? Where's the next project at? Where's the next when's the next like album coming, Frank? Like, but he's just like, I'm not on your schedule. I'm on my schedule. That's it. So to me, that's just like all the inspiration that I've ever needed. So this week it's been really heavy into that and just like focusing on my thing and just keeping my head down.
A lot of artists that I noticed, like a lot of newer artists, like they'll be dropping like 3 mixtapes a year, like, you know, whatever. And it kind of makes me a little bit turned off. Like, obviously there's going to be hits on like all 3 mixtapes. Like there's going to be those like bangers that you're just like, oh, I want to play that, you know, in the club or whatever. But like, I feel like the artists that really take their time with it, like Kendrick, like Frank Ocean, you know, J. Cole even, like, I remember there's some time between some of his projects too, like, where you're just like, dang, like, I need another project. Even Travis Scott right now.
Yep.
Like, I've been waiting for so long.
Yep.
Like, Astroworld came out in like 2018 or something.
18 or 19, yeah.
Yeah, and like, but I feel like those are the artists that once they drop though, like, it's like masterpieces, man.
It's
Like,
that much sweeter, man. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like just like waiting and like savoring that moment. That's what art is all about.
and that's
man.
like kind of back to our Netflix conversation earlier too. When a show gets over and you're just like, no, I didn't want it to be over. That's the impression that those type of artists leave on you.
Yep.
When you've waited so long, you get it, and now you're like, wow. Now I gotta wait another 4 years.
Yep.
You know?
It's like there's like a void that kind of just like sits in your chest. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like I know like with the Netflix thing, I'm like, if there's like a good show that I'm watching, I'm like, I'll really like slow down with the last season because like you said, like I don't want it to end and I don't want to, like I want to see the ending, but I don't want to at the same time, you know?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I mean, I'll go next. Thing that inspired me, it wasn't really this week, but it was recent. We went to Winter Jam. I don't know if either of y'all went, but it was really good. It was a really good show. But the thing that like blew me away most, and we kind of talked about this at some point in time, was just the production that they really put on.
Yeah.
And Marquis and I, the next Sunday morning, were like doing all this snooping, trying to find out who their videographer was. And he finally found him. And he posted some really good content this week that I really messed with. And I messaged him and just told him, like, hey, I really appreciate your content. And we had a short conversation. But yeah, the artist, or his like page is Isaac Apon. And I'm probably butchering that last name. But really, really good work. So appreciated like just seeing his work and like just kind of connecting with him loosely. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. Marquis, you got
I can go. I don't know if this is an inspiration or a fear, but I've been doing like a deep dive into AI
Oh yeah.
this past week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
From an artist standpoint, I'm like, oh, this is really dope. But also from an artist standpoint, I'm like, oh, this is really scary.
Yeah.
Because this is honestly just the beginning. But as a creator and a creative, we always adapt. So yeah, that's been my biggest thing. There's some really cool things happening, some really good resources. But also it's like, hey, if this resource develops a little bit more, this can be really scary.
yeah, no kidding, dude.
But yeah, but it's really cool, you know, technology. As creators, we use technology to our best abilities. But yeah, it's really cool.
Isn't it crazy that like thousands of years ago, like people were like living like
Cavemen.
like cavemen, you know, like, or just like a fire and like a little wood fort or something, or like, you know, and now we got freaking skyscrapers out here. We got airplanes.
Yeah.
Take
We
that
got
even,
stuff in space.
if you even take that a step further, that stuff didn't even happen until like 60 years ago.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
that to
Do you,
me is
like-
crazy. Like even like my grandpa doesn't even know how to work an iPhone.
That gave me chills.
Like, you know what I'm
actually.
saying?
That's
Like-
weird. It's crazy.
Well, that's what we were talking about, like AI technology and like how fast technology has already advanced in a very short amount of time. Like just from a smartphone perspective, of the first smartphone coming out in like what, 2004, and so like in not even 20 years, we have such advanced technology where really it's running itself. It's crazy how fast things progress.
But also how smart the human mind is.
Yeah, like that. It's just so insane that that's even happened.
It's crazy.
So insane.
Wow, that's crazy.
All right, Noah's
Noah,
on
what
you.
about
Go
you?
yet?
Not yet. I mentioned it earlier, but yeah. And I went to Nike store like 2 days ago to get my little brother a birthday gift, and the boy Neek was there. So I was talking to him a little bit. We were kind of just talking about tonight a little bit, and I was like telling him we end every episode with like, you know, something that inspired
That's how
me.
you found out.
Hey, man, I like to dissect y'all's work, man. I admire you guys, man. You guys got a beautiful thing you guys got going right here.
that,
So I
appreciate
knew
that.
it was coming. I like to pay attention from time to time.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And so I told him straight up, I'm like, I was going to say it last week, but I was like, no, I'm going to wait for Neek's episode because he took my engagement photos. And that's a really special moment in my life, probably the happiest moment of my life. So I appreciate you, bro.
Of course, brother.
You killed it from like the conception of it, like when we met up at Smoky Row and we talked for 3 hours and we didn't even talk about the engagement until like the last 20 minutes. Like, we literally just talked about all these different things about who we are, you know, the creative stuff and whatever, but just like personal life. And then at the end, we're like, okay, now we got to get to it because they're about to close soon in like half an hour or whatever. So then we started creating like a little shot list. And also, you two inspired me too. Matter of fact, because y'all shot the video.
Oh, yeah, man.
If it wasn't,
was good
for
stuff.
the video,
was
then that
awesome.
wouldn't have even happened.
Oh, you
good.
could have shot that video
So
on the
let-
iPhone.
I don't know about
way.
that on the big screen. No,
way.
that
So,
was.
literally, like the three of you, like I'm really thankful for y'all.
Hey, man.
Like, damn.
Don't get me tearing up now, bro.
Bro,
man, that's
I'm almost
beautiful,
tearing up. Partly because I'm tired.
Hey, man, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
I see your eyes, bro. You're tired
Yeah,
too,
bro.
man.
Don't even get me started.
Barely making it to the finish line.
My
That's
bedtime
all right.
is actually 10. So.
Yeah, right.
But it's
Yeah, we're
like
rocking.
so y'all. First of all, the video. And if y'all that don't know about it want to know, just go look up me on Facebook or something, and you'll figure it out, or on Instagram. I don't know. But basically, we shot it in a one take. I don't know if you knew that.
I think I kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a one take.
Yep.
Killed the edit. Everything was done in like a matter of like 2 hours.
Yeah, not even. Yeah.
Took the video to the theater, dropped it off on a thumb drive. And also the Neek idea literally came the week of, and I didn't even know if you would say yes. I just took my shot. I'm like, yo, bro, I know I've ran into you downtown a few times, you know, and like, you're just dope. And like, this is what I got going on. I don't know if you do these type of things or not. And you're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then, like, I showed you the video,
Yep.
and I feel like that kind of set the scene, like, you know, it painted that picture. Okay,
Yep.
this video that you two created
Yep.
is going on this movie theater screen, and I asked you, because of the film nostalgic look, like, that's going to really go well with the theater vibe,
Yep.
and like, so yeah, it just was awesome, man.
I
I
appreciate
appreciate
that.
all three of you.
Nah.
Yeah,
we appreciate
appreciate
you,
you,
man.
Bro, yeah, bro.
So y'all
Go
inspire
Brother,
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
You're the goat over there, man. It's the goat
For
right
sure.
absolutely.
there. It's beautiful, man.
This was good. I mean, this is what the podcast and just being creative is all about, man. Building this connection, relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be in Des Moines without Noah, so it's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Life has that. Life does that, man.
For real,
it's
man.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thanks for being on. Thanks for
Appreciate
being
you.
on. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys for
bro.
having me, man. Seriously.
Solid.
You're
Seriously.
awesome.
Yep. Seriously.
If you haven't yet, make sure to check out Neek on his socials and keep up with his work. But this has been the Creative Point of View podcast. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
See ya. Only recording one channel of audio, so that sucks.
Oh, no. Like-
See, but we'll make it work.
yeah.
We'll
That's
figure it
all right.
out.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll,
that's-
we'll see if
okay.
Holden can work his magic.
We keeping it real today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It happens, bro. That's what this podcasting game's all about, bro.
Yeah.
I get it 100%.
Ups and downs.